This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring defense attorney, Hidden Killers daily contributor, and host of the Defense Diaries podcast, Bob Motta.
The case against Richard Allen, the alleged Delphi murderer, it continues to get some steam as we get closer and closer to that trial date. And of course, as we know, most things in trials are decided and worked out before the actual trial takes place. And Bob Motta, of course, was there for all of that. You've been traveling and watching this very closely since its inception. Of course, Bob Motta, Defense Diaries, the podcast, and a defense attorney. Go check that out. Go download it. Give me the update here. You've been in the room for Tuesday and Wednesday. And you're going to be there Thursday as well. We're recording this on Wednesday. But, yeah, what's been going on?
A lot of motion work.
Yeah.
A lot of motion work that's been kind of hanging out there in the ether for the better part of a year on some of these motions. Some of them aren't quite that old, but a lot of them are pretty stale. Tuesday, it started out with, and you can't bring phones in. So it's like, you got to get in line because it's one of those cases. It's a small courthouse. There's like 39 seats available to because they have a certain amount set up for the family. And then, of both the victims, obviously, and then, Allen's people too. So it leaves 39 seats in that courtroom. So people get out there early.
How early were you in line?
I the first day, I'm always paranoid. I was out there by 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And the court didn't start till 10.
So
they don't let us in the building.
Did you bring a picnic
8.
blanket? Did you?
No, man, I should have.
Tailgate?
So, fortunately, a coffee shop behind the courthouse opened at 7. So I went over there.
Yeah.
Got a little coffee and some breakfast. But so first day was basically they had a few motions that they did on the first day, which were a motion to vacate the safekeeping order. Now, the safekeeping order, if you don't know what that is, essentially when Allen was first arrested and they got him into custody and they had him over at the Carroll County Jail, which is in Delphi, Indiana, which is a very small town, very small community, hence a very small jail. They didn't think they could handle it. They were worried that somebody was going to try to kill this guy. Is it if you're not familiar with Delphi, it's been going on for 7 years. The thing went 5 cold for 5. Yeah. I'm not telling you. I know you know.
Yeah, they put him in maximum security.
If you have any viewers out there, so it's they immediately took him in front of the judge and said, we can't handle him. We're afraid he's going to get killed. And we don't have the facilities to keep them safe.
Is that a legitimate argument? Let me ask you that, because we've criticized it for the last better part of a year. Is it a legitimate argument, though, for that jail to say that?
Yeah, I think for Carroll County, yeah.
Okay.
It is. It's a very small jail. They don't really have you're in kind of in Gen Pop.
Okay.
There is nowhere to.
You're like in the drunk tank permanently almost.
Because the reality is in prison, they don't make the distinction of, pretrial detainee.
Sure.
You're in there as a suspected child killer. They're going to treat you as such. They don't wait for, to find you guilty. So it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I think anybody who knows anything about the system knows that, pedophiles, people that, do harm to children don't have a tendency to last long in prison. It's kind of like a code of honor among thieves, I guess you could say, with respect to jail. So I think there's some legitimacy to it, but they tried to get him moved back in June of last year. They had it set up in a county that's much, much closer to where the lawyers are in the Carroll County, Cass County. That sheriff said, yeah, we don't want him, but we can take him. We've just upgraded our jail. We've added a new wing to it. We've got more modern facilities. We can handle them. We don't we don't want to deal with them, but we'll take them if need be. Judge denied it. So now it's been a year plus, and he's still in prison, still sitting in prison. And so they brought it up again. And now, and the other part of it is not just the safety aspect, but, your right to counsel. Like, I mean, you have to be able to get to your client to prepare for trial, which is coming in October. And that is the blink of an eye, in terms of preparing for a case. So, and for Rosie, one of the defense attorneys, it's a 200-mile drive to see his client. For Baldwin, it's 2.5 hours. And, so they argued it. There really was nothing new other than the fact that they moved him from Westville Penitentiary to Wabash Valley Penitentiary. So he's still in Department of Corrections. Back in December, they moved him, kind of like under cover of darkness. Like nobody
remember that.
And why did they move him? What happened? What's going on? Is he still alive? All the things that people were saying. So, they go through the arguments. They're like, a lot of it is the same arguments that were made initially. But the bigger thing now is, and it's a legitimate beef. I mean, McClellan, the prosecutor, was kind of like giving the defense shit, like, oh, you're whining. This is all really just because the guy's not close to Brad. His office, he's got to drive. And I'm like, when you're preparing for a trial like this, you do not have 7 hours to kill.
And why is that a bad argument to make? I mean, not only that, but just the fact that he's in maximum security prison. Which, right. I mean, and you have another jail that has said, look, I get it. You guys don't have the way to do this, the way you think it should be done right. We'll do them over here. And they still, the court, it goes back to kind of the weird cabal that goes on in Delphi. And I use that kind of lightly, but at the same point, I'm not. I mean, it's just this whole thing of like, we're going to do what we're going to do, and we don't really give a shit what.
Yeah, I mean, right. Like they're hell bent on getting a conviction on this case, and he might be the guy. Yeah, which we'll get to. In a little bit here, because the motion that I was in 12 hours in there today, 12 hours in line in the courtroom, because she didn't end it till 6:30 Eastern. It was a very long day. But so at any rate, one of the arguments that the defense made is like, look, like while we're having this 3 days of hearing, Allen's being held in Cass County, and he's being transported. It's much closer. This is where the trial is going to be. Let's just keep him here. Yeah. Through the trial, which is a few more months. And, they've got it worked out. The sheriff of Cass County's okay with it. Indiana State Police said that they'll provide another cruiser and a dude. So it sounds like it's all worked out, but it's still ultimately up to Judge Gull. She's the one who's pulled the trigger on it. So that was heard. She took that under advisement. She did not in any way, shape, or form, which frankly you want. I mean, on that one, she probably could have made a ruling. Like at this point, just grant it. Yeah. But why are we still waiting? Right. I mean, she's probably of the mindset, because I mean, the reality is once it gets to trial, they're going to keep him in Cass anyway. There's no way they're driving that dude 200 miles.
And it's not like she hasn't had a moment to think about this either.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Are you ready to listen to this podcast ad-free?
Then hit subscribe to the True Crime Today Premium Plus channel now on Apple Podcasts.
You'll instantly have access to all of our episodes labeled Advance Ad-Free. You'll hear the interviews before everyone else and with no interruptions.
No interruptions.
Subscribe to the True Crime Today Premium Plus channel now on Apple Podcasts.
And start binging now.